Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. Thank you so much for coming to my father's event. My name is Idris Arhandiwal. This is, of course, a very, very big event for my father and I. The whole Adam Moves team. We've worked very, very hard. Throughout the process, it's been challenging and troubling, especially with juggling my studies and the venture that I've started and so on. But I think that the main thing that I've learned through this whole process is that big things happen in small steps, and that you should appreciate the smaller things in life. So all of the interactions I've had this far with all of you have been great, and I internalize it. And I'll take it into the future with me. It's really good to see all of you here. And I believe that the most important things in life happen together. They don't happen individually. So let's work together, and let's make the best out of this event, and let's make a change in this world. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce Julie Salisbury, who's going to be our MC for the night. Julie is the founder and CEO of Influence Publishing Group Incorporated and Inspire Book Publishing Coaching Program. Influence Publishing was founded in 2010 to empower authors of influence to influence change in the world through the platform of the book. The hybrid business model she created allows the author to maintain the intellectual property rights of their work and receive significantly higher royalties on sales than traditional publishing houses. Julie is the author of Around the World in 7 Years, a memoir of her extensive travels by sailboat, train, and plane to circumnavigate the globe. She is the member of the exclusive New York Circumnavigators Club, proudly wearing the label of the slowest circumnavigator, traveling continuously for 7 years in one direction. She's a British citizen and proud Canadian immigrant, looking forward to receiving her Canadian citizenship soon. She is an award-winning speaker, popular media guest on TV and radio, and our MC for this afternoon. And without further ado, Julie Salisbury.
Thank you. I wonder if I'm the only Canadian resident in the room. Oh, there's another one. Welcome. Ladies, gentlemen, and honorable guests. Thank you all for coming here this afternoon to celebrate the launch of Immigrant Success Planning, a family resource guide by Atta Argandabo. I would like to acknowledge and introduce the many VIPs that we have in the room this afternoon. I would ask you to please save your applause to the end because we do have many VIPs in the room. First of all, I'd like to introduce the Honourable Nancy O'Malley, Alameda County District Attorney. The Distinguished Honourable Bill Clarkson, Mayor of San Ramon. The Distinguished Honourable Bill Harrison, Mayor of Fremont City. The Distinguished Honourable Tim Sabrantine, Mayor of Dublin. The Honourable Dr. Michael Cranzi, award-winning National Public Radio Forum program host. And Mrs. Robin Farr, the widely known Tri-Valley TV's conversation host. We also have distinguished honourable Afghan community leaders from the cities of Dublin, Pleasanton, Sacramento, Alameda, Tracy, Fremont, Hayward, San Francisco, Berkeley, Concord, and San Jose. We'd also like to welcome Madam Chair Celia Menzel and Leela LCC from the San Francisco Commonwealth Club Middle East Discussion Forum. Mr. Eric Talbot of the USA Emergency, the Honourable Carmel Judd, who I just found out actually the road was flooded, so she wasn't actually able to make it this afternoon. However, there are a representation of the Afghan dolls at the table over there, and you can buy a doll, and that helps Afghan widows. She is the founder of Rising International, which is one of the greatest supporters of the Afghan Widows Doll Project. And finally, representing the United Nations, His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Waheedullah. I'd also like to introduce the members of the Immigration Success Planning team. They're not all here, but we do have a good representation. Of course, I am the MC for the afternoon, Julie Salisbury, and I'm also the publisher of Immigrant Success Planning. I'm based in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm very proud to say that I persuaded ATA to include Canada in the Immigration Success Planning Guide. It takes a village to birth a book, so our team includes Eileen Figger-Sandlin, co-author, Marla Markham, editor, Idris Argendiwal, public relations, social media and web design, and Shafiq Mahdi, who is the designer of the ATA brand marketing materials. Other members of the team that are not here this afternoon include Nabi Nawid and Marla Thompson. So just so that you know what's going to happen this afternoon, we're going to have a number of distinguished guest speakers, and then finally we will have remarks by ATA, followed by an opportunity to mingle and mix with the author, and of course a chance to get an autographed copy. Our first speaker this afternoon is His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Waheedullah. He has been working for the United Nations since 1994. Having served in various capacities, he is well known for his excellence within the UN and the international community at large, for his distinguished career and contribution to the maintenance of global peace and security. He has consistently been the recipient of the top 2% performance rating throughout his career with the United Nations. Ambassador Waheedullah, in addition to other responsibilities, until recently has been the Deputy Chairman of the World Energy Forum and the World Water Organization. During several years of his service there, he has led and conducted many of the high-level and international conferences and forums of the World Energy Forum and World Water Organization at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Ambassador Waheedullah is a Harvard graduate with a PhD in political science, conflict management, and public administration. He speaks many languages, including Pashto, Dari, English, French, Arabic, Urdu, Serbo-Croatian, Albion, and Greek. Ambassador Waheedullah is married, has 3 daughters, and 1 son. He is the recipient of many honors, awards, and decorations, which include the 2013 Mother Teresa Prize for Peace, Nation Building and Development in Albania and Kosovo, decorated by the Albanian President with the highest golden medal of distinguished merit of the Republic of Albania for Peace and Civil Services in 2006. The 2006 Award of Outstanding Service for the United Nations Regional Corporation by the Honorable Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Kosovo. There's a few more. The 2000 Award of Extraordinary Contribution for Dialogue among the cultures and civilizations by the President of the International Academy of Dialogue among Cultures and Civilizations based in Warsaw. The 2003 Award of Distinguished Role in Facilitating the Safe, Voluntary and Dignified Return of approximately 500,000 Kosovo refugees from Albania back to their rightful homes in Kosovo. The 2000 Award of the Warriors of Peace by Special Representative of United Nations, Secretary General and Chief of United Nations Mission in Kosovo. Please welcome His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Waheedullah.
Thank you so much, Madam Salisbury, for the introductory remarks, and particularly the words that you have been telling about me, which I certainly would not deserve. But before I speak about this book, I'm so pleased to be here, and I recognize a number of faces, although I've never had the honor to meet them, but I can connect very quickly the faces with some of the views and materials that I have witnessed through the various Afghan television channels. And among them here, I'm very honored and pleased to acknowledge their presence here. And that would be starting with Professor Dr. Abdullah Kazem, a distinguished scholar, a professor, a well-known, highly respected Afghan figures that I am the honored to be here, joined with him together in this historical hall. This is being followed by another distinguished professor, doctor, scholar, lecturer, Dr. Farid Yunus, who is sitting right there in front of me. I have never met him, but I'm so pleased to recognize the face and connect the face with the pictures that I have seen in New York. Then I also see here the Parisep Safiullah, whose program I always watch. Parisep Safiullah, my respect to you. Beside that, I can also see Dr. Seb, Dr. Farooq Achikzat, who is also in this room. I can see very fast and connect the face with a picture. Then Dr. Sajidi is also here that I can recognize very quickly looking around the room. And then I have here some very distinguished and beloved personalities, singer, artist. As they say, he is the owner of 7 cities of art, Afchare Onar, which is Khalil Jane Ragheb, that you all know. And then Kamyab Singh, whose program I always listen to, watch, and I enormously enjoy those programs. And my honor that he is also here among us. I apologize if I cannot recognize the other faces. There might be some other distinguished personalities here that I might not know and cannot connect the face with their presence here. But if I did so, I apologize for that. But I respect and I express my profound admirations for this great community coming from several municipalities, being represented here by very, very distinguished mayors that they have taken the time and the opportunity to come and join this great ceremony. I also respect and express my admirations for the very distinguished lady, Madam Attorney of this county, who is here. I believe that in order to discipline myself and not to digress so much, I think that I would simply read what I have written as a foreword about this book. That might be a better idea, so that we are not wasting your time and the time of this grand ceremony. Can I read that to you, and then probably I may make some few elaborations on a number of occasions that I will simply, in terms of my remark here, I'm going to present to you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests here, as a long-term conflict manager and a troubleshooter at the United Nations, one of the major issues that I have always dealt with is the voluntary or non-voluntary movement in immigration peoples with our globe. You see, immigration is not a choice. Either it's voluntary or non-voluntary. So this is something that we have to deal with throughout our career. This is something that is out of our control, and it does happen wherever there are conflict emerging. One of the drawbacks, one of the outcome is the immigrants and refugees, as we all appreciate. And I think all of you here, more than anyone else in this room, feel that better than being product of these kind of situations, these kind of unfortunate and unpleasant situations. As I said, eruptions of conflicts and wars gave birth to short-term, medium-term, and long-term political, social, and economic cause in this order. One of the many ways that people escape from such cause and disorders is by taking refuge in more peaceful or safer locations and to immigrate there accordingly. That's the only way. As such, movements are often triggered by wars and conflicts, as you know. The United Nations has found this impossible to seize, control, or prevent the movement and immigration of people taking place around the globe. Another eminent problem that we all know and appreciate. Of course, the United Nations has kept trying to do its best to find the most effective ways and means to help facilitate a voluntary, safe, and dignified relocation or immigration of people in need. We have done that. We are still doing that. But it's not enough, and I will simply explain to you later on the reason. Actually, the result of such efforts for the last almost 1 century is the way that the UNHCR, which is the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and the International Organization for Migration was given birth. These are the two major organizations, as you all appreciate, around the globe, especially mandated to deal with the management of internally displaced people within societies where conflict is taking place, and the refugees who are seeking refuge abroad. No doubt that the world would admire the influential role that the UNHCR and IOM have played in the management, the humanitarian organization, and the international regulations of migration and refugees, and all those kind of related affairs thus far. However, here I'm coming to the point, it must be also sincerely admitted that these big organizations have also fallen short of suggesting effective ways and means that lead to successful planning for the future life of emerging immigrants and refugees of either voluntary or non-voluntary nature. It means we have done a lot within the framework of the UNHCR and International Organization for Migration, but we have not done so for something that we should have done long ago, which is to find ways and means so that this inevitable, this refugee issue and this issue of the internally displaced people are somewhat organized in a fashion that we could make the best out of it. Something inevitable, but something that we could really get control of. This book that you see right now is for the first time addressing this, that it's not only talking about those problems, it's helping the international community, the United Nations and the UNHCR as its specialized agency, and the IOM, which is the international organizations, these two major organizations dealing with this, to basically see how they are able to plan a better life out of this inevitable thing, which is the question of taking refuge and being internally displaced in different spots of the world as results of the conflicts that we are witnessing in the past, now, and in the future. So, what I'm trying to say here is that this book being put together by a very capable and distinguished team of professionals led by its chief author and distinguished, highly respected professor, lecturer, and meanwhile he is the author of another book, as you can recall, The Lost Decency, which has dedicated work to see how can we help these people. How could we really make sure that once they are confronting this kind of situation, particularly in Northern America and in the United States, how could we really lead a planning that would bring about success for them and their children as every other. This is not only for one single community, but I believe this is very general, and it applies to all those taking refuge and emigrate to the United States of America. So this book, from that point of view, I think is the first one addressing this situation, beside the very good work done by the international community. This book, this specific book, Immigrant Success Planning, provides a comprehensive set of proven guidelines for immigrants and refugees, as I have read it, from the very inception point of their pre-settlement to proper resettlement, and from there to full integration, all the way to the higher stage of educational, professional, and career development of those people and their family members. These are a bunch of lessons learned, and the practical lessons learned and best practices compiled in this book by this distinguished and renowned author, Honorable Atar Gandhiwal, will help immigrants and refugees to effectively take control of their own lives and to automatically turn from being event-driven people into those who could drive events in their own legitimate best interest. This book is all about how to be in control of events rather than being driven by the events like a firefighter. Distinguishing one problem here and then going to another one is not the way we can continue. It's not acceptable anymore. We have to really make sure, find effective ways and means that we can take control of our life and not be driven by the events, and rather should be able to drive these events. And this book is really helping in that direction to the best of my belief and conviction. The book will certainly help the immigrant and refugees to develop an effective plan for their short, medium, and long-term successes. As a family resource book, it will help them plan their successes for the future. Nonetheless, as I always say, they should always remember that no one on the earth plans to fail in their life, but many unfortunately are failing to plan. What I'm suggesting here, we have here a bunch of guidelines reflected in this book that would help all those people who are going to be, unfortunately, voluntarily or non-voluntarily situated in this kind of circumstances, to be helped with their future planning and to make a success of something quite inevitable. And we should always be looking forward. And I'd like to end this with what Rabindranath Tagore, the best writer and philosopher of our century, who said that if you happen to loss about the if you happen to cry about the loss of your day, he says, if you happen to cry about the loss of your day, meaning that you have not accomplished something that you were supposed to be accomplishing, the day is lost and you have not accomplished it. You cry about that. You're sad about that. And he says that if you happen to be one of those people, make sure that your tears are not blocking your vision to see the beauty of the stars. The only thing that you could see in the future as a forward-looking, optimistic person, there is no problem on the earth which we cannot provide a solution to. I always believe philosophically that problems are created, but solutions are there beforehand. Otherwise, you would have not confronted. It's only us and our efforts who could manage the problems. Probably we cannot resolve them, but we can manage them. And this book helps greatly in the sense of immigrants and refugees. I don't want to natter on beyond this, and I wish you all the best. And I'm very honored and pleased to be a part of this very distinguished crowd of audience and people at this gala hall, this historic place today among you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is the Honourable Nancy O'Malley, Alameda County District Attorney. She is the first woman to serve as Alameda County's elected district attorney, a position once held by former United States Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren. Ms. O'Malley is known internationally and across California for her innovation and vision. Ms. O'Malley is also a nationally recognized expert in issues involving violence against women, violence against persons with disabilities, and interpersonal violence, including sexual assault, domestic violence, elder abuse, child abuse, stalking, threat management, and human exploitation and trafficking. Ms. O'Malley has authored and successfully advocated several bills that have become law in California, including in advancing protections of victims of crime who have developmental disabilities, laws that enhance victims' rights and strengthening victims' voices in the criminal justice environment, as well as the labor and medical environments. Please welcome the Honourable Nancy O'Malley.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for having me here today. It's my great honor to be here. And I just want to, before I say a few comments, just really take a moment to hold up the cover of this book. How beautiful is that? It is the image of what America is. People that look differently but come together to make it a beautiful country. And I will include, in your honor, Canada as well. I did have the opportunity to read the book, and I find it to be an amazing book. While it is written for immigrants who are coming to this country, it really is a book for all people to develop life skills so that as they go into adulthood or they try to navigate some of the challenges that life posed all of us, this book is a guide for everyone. I'm very honored to be here and really recognize that and share with you that America is built on the beauty and richness of its diverse populations. Though we sometimes find ourselves having to battle prejudice and judgments, literally every American either is him or herself or a descendant of someone who was an immigrant to this country. And what I see in the book that has been written as the Family Resource Guide is it a way to allow for a smoother, more organized, more careful and comforting transition of coming into a community that may be different, a culture that is different from the one from which someone came. And it is what all Americans have gone through, frankly, at some point. I would like to say also it's the richness of our differences that broaden our horizons and our attitudes. And it's sharing those cultures and sharing those differences and also learning from other cultures and differences that bring this cohesive, productive America together. Once here, our newest countrymen, women, and children have the right to a healthy, a happy, a fulfilling, and a safe life in his or her community of choice. I want to take a moment and acknowledge and especially thank Waheed Arya, who's here with me today, who works in my office, the District Attorney's Office. While Waheed came into the office to work in our financial division, she soon reached out and demonstrated the importance of reaching out to the Afghan community so that we could not only serve the community, but build bridges with the community. I have been especially thankful to her for all of her efforts as the Afghan Outreach Community Coordinator. And it's through Waheed's efforts that in my office now, an office of over 350 employees, about 160 lawyers, many police officers, and other administrative staff, that Waheed has formed a diversity community so that we are learning and sharing about all cultures of the communities we serve and all cultures of people within our own office. So thank you, Waheed. She's also been very instrumental in reaching out to the Afghan community to educate about what is the role of the District Attorney's Office, not just in going into court when somebody becomes a victim of crime or bringing someone to court because they have committed a wrongdoing, but really the role of the District Attorney's Office in advancing the healthy, productive, safe communities that help build happy family lives, to build productive businesses, to build safe, strong communities. I'm honored to wear the shawl that I have on today. I'll share this with you. My name here is in Farsi. I'm backwards here, and I apologize for that. And I want to thank to the women leaders that I work with from the Afghan community, such women as Rona Popal and the Afghan Women's Association here today, who are champions of advancing the efforts to bring healthcare and safety and empowerment to women from the Afghan community. My special thanks and my great admiration to Ata Arandwal and to Ms. Sandlin for this remarkable book. I have to just say that when reading it, I had to just think what incredible patience it must have taken, because it is literally like walking through every step of every day of every person's life who comes to this country as an immigrant. And that perseverance has resulted in this amazing book that will be a tremendous resource for all who read it. It is literally, and I know that Ata has drawn from his own experiences and using his skill and his talent to literally write a book A to Z that will assist immigrants as they both arrive and transition into a successful, productive life in America. I honor you today and your team for this great work, and thank you for all that you have done. and to all of my friends from the Afghan community and to all communities. Together, you and I will make America a better place for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This book would not have been possible without the editorial team. This consisted of Eileen Figger-Sandlin, who was co-author, and Marla Markman, who was the editor. I have to say my personal experience of working with these women has been quite incredible. When we were first in discussions, he came to me and I said, what about Canada? And these two ladies who had just about finished the book said, oh no. I said, well, it's North America, and it is quite incredible that the similarities of the information is actually very similar, certainly from a cultural perspective. And I know that it was a great task that these two ladies took on to include Canada in that North American bracket. And I'm very, very, very proud that they did such an amazing job. So I'd like you to please welcome these two amazing women. Co-author Eileen Figger-Sandlin is an award-winning writer and author of 20 non-fiction books. She has also written thousands of articles for leading national publications. Ms. Sandlin is a professor of communication, interpersonal communication, and English at a major Midwest university. Marla Markman is an award-winning editor with more than 20 years of experience creating and managing books from conception to completion. She honed her expertise as a managing editor of Entrepreneur magazine, one of the nation's leading small business publications. In 2008, she launched Markman Editorial Services, which provides editing, proofreading, book design, indexing, and ghostwriting services for authors and experts. Please welcome them both to the podium.
Good afternoon. We're both very happy to be with you this afternoon, and particularly me because I came in from the frozen north, where when I left my home state of Michigan on Friday it was 2 below zero, and we were enjoying the highest number of inches of snow that we've had in January since the Weather Service started keeping records in 1908. So even though my favorite weather is not cold rain, as we're seeing here in Pleasanton and in Dublin, my umbrella and I thank you very much for allowing me to come here. As Julie mentioned, I am a professor of English, business communication, and communication at a university in the Midwest. Done a lot of writing over the years, and I was thrilled to be asked to be part of this project, to be quite honest, because it's something of import. Now, I've been writing a lot of business startup books, and they're important to the person who started the business. For instance, someone who wants to start a car detailing business, or someone who wants to start a salon. But this book has a lot more implications for touching people and making their lives better. And that's why I was thrilled to be included. Those books that I have written in the past, most of them were published by Entrepreneur Press, which is in Irvine. And my editor on those publications was no one else but Marla Markman. And we worked on quite a number of them before she started her business in 2008. She's the one who contacted me in the fall and asked if I would be interested in participating in this project. And as I said, I was very excited to be able to do that because it sounded like a wonderful project. And I was very happy to join the team, but I have to tell you I was a little mystified about what Otto wanted. He presented me with an outline of what he conceived for this book. And for instance, in the finance chapter, he talked about everything from what is a debit card and how do you use one, to how do you apply for a home mortgage. And I said to him, Is it necessary for us to be this basic? Because obviously if someone has been here for a while, has been interacting in the society, that person probably has the hang of what's going on here. Well, you would think, right? But he pointed out that immigrant communities tend to be very insular. They tend to have people come to them where you have an ethnic bunch of people living, and they live and they work and they worship, they go to school, they shop, all in a very small geographical location. And when he pointed this out to me, it made an awful lot of sense, because even in my own history, I have an immigrant background too. Because as Julie pointed out, Nancy pointed out, we are all immigrants at some point in our lives. I'm a second generation American. My grandparents all came from Eastern Europe, about the time of World War I, some of whom were actually fleeing from the conflict in World War I. And they settled in an area of Detroit, in a now extinct cultural area near downtown Detroit. And their communities were very insular as well. In fact, to the point where my paternal grandmother never learned to speak English, basically. In fact, my father, who was born in Detroit, actually did not know how to speak English until he was 5 years old. She also never became an American citizen. Part of the reason, of course, is the language problem. My paternal grandfather, who did come to this area as well, Detroit area that is, did become a citizen in 1926, but he too remained in that culturally diverse area, if you will, right in the shadow of the Catholic Church that he attended. So consequently, I know a lot about immigrant people. I also teach a lot of ESL students, and I've had the pleasure of working with many people who have come here from other nations. So consequently, as I said, I was very happy to be part of this project, because I personally think immigrant success planning, which is entirely the idea of Atta Argandawal, is a brilliant idea. Simple, but brilliant. Because it's a comprehensive guide for people who have left their homeland, for whatever reason that might be. They come here because they're seeking a better life, and they don't exactly know how to make that happen. Part of the reason, of course, is simply the language problem. But in addition to that, as Atta pointed out, when he first came here, he had no idea where to get enough information to be able to be a productive person. And of course, this was pre-internet days, where nowadays you can go out there and find whatever it is you want, and in just about any language that you want. But even so, even if you came here and you had the internet to make, to start your search for information, immigrants don't always come here with a lot of money. They may not be able to afford a computer. They may not be able to afford high-speed access. And even if they go to the library to use the internet, they have language issues. So that's why this particular book, which can go on somebody's bookcase and stay there forever, hopefully being taken down, and cherry-picked for information, of course, it becomes a resource that they can refer to over and over again. And that is why this is a brilliant concept to my mind. And I can say that because it was Atta's concept and not mine. Now, this book does cover an awful lot of information, because as Julie pointed out, she asked us to add Canada to the mix. So what was originally supposed to be a 70,000 word book, which is approximately 250 pages, went well over 100,000. And quite honestly, it would have been a lot longer, but we decided to leave out our neighbors to the south, even though they're about 20% of the land mass here. But the fact is, it really was a brilliant idea to leave them out, because no hablo español. Immigrant success planning, I believe, has the potential to really transform lives. And Atta told me, as I mentioned, after he came here, he couldn't find any self-help materials. We are now going to be able to give it to them. And as a result, it should be a very valuable resource that will really make lives a lot better. So I do want to thank you very much, both for having me here, for also coming here today, because it just shows you how much you are committed to your own communities. And let me just say, God bless America, God bless Canada, and God bless our visitors. Marla would like to add a few words, even though I think I probably just said a whole bunch of hers already.
Hello. I'm just going to say a few brief words, because I'm an editor, and us editors are used to working behind the scenes and putting words on paper instead of out into a big audience like this. So, but I did want to say a few things, because I was extremely honored, as everyone else was, to be brought onto this project. from the moment I met Atta, I was introduced to him, and I knew he was a special person. I've worked with a lot of authors over the 20 years that I've been in this business, and I've never met anyone as passionate as him. And Julie said that it really takes a village, and I think that Atta is so fortunate. I mean, it's so true. He's so fortunate to have, this community to help him. I've already met so many members of his family and his friends, and they've done so much to help me who they just met today. I mean, it's wonderful, and that's why he, wants to give back to all these other people now, and I think that's great. As I said, I'm honored to be a part of this project. I thought it was a wonderful idea. I myself am the granddaughter of Russian immigrants who came here from, again, they were also escaping World War II, and they settled in Montana, and they could have really used something like this. We put in a tremendous number of hours on this book and spent many late nights on it, but again, it's easy to do that for somebody like Atta. Just whenever we were tired and talked to him on the phone, and he was always so excited. He kept us updated on every single thing that happened, and you just couldn't, help but get excited with him and just keep moving forward. I believe that we've created a resource that's going to help a lot of people, and that's really all I want to say. As I said, I've already met a lot of wonderful people, and afterwards we're mingling. I hope I can meet more of you. So thank you.
What a team. Our last guest speaker, I should say, is the Honorable Kasim Tarim, the distinguished CEO and founder of the Afghan Business Network, as well as the president and CEO of Electro Imaging Solutions Incorporated in California, and co-founder and CFO of AID Corporation, and president of Afghan American Chamber of Commerce West. Kasim quickly built his own successful consulting business and equipment dealership, and has now focused on helping other entrepreneurs develop their businesses worldwide. As an Afghan American, Kasim understands the culture and desires of the Afghan people, and can reach out and relate to them. Acting as a business developer to help restore business and rebuild Afghanistan's economy, he is working hard to help the population of this war-torn country achieve their goals. Please welcome the Honorable Kasim Tarim.
Thank you so much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellencies, community leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good afternoon. It is such an honor and pleasure to be part of such a historic event, which I applaud and my hats off to Atta Arghandiwal, who has done such an incredible job, and the team as well, to put such a guideline, and as well as a roadmap for not only immigrants who are coming new in this country, for the citizens who were born and raised in this country. I, as a business owner and and leader of the Afghan Business Network, I see how many of our countrymen or countrywomen are coming in here in this country is struggling to start their life, such as I did 1979. I came in New York, 1979, as I was landing there, and I struggled for a long, long time till I found my way around. I'm sure every single one of you had the same sort of experience going through this type of life and going through that. As I recall my days in New York, as I landed coming from Germany as a refugee, as a matter of fact, just for the record, we were the second group of refugees who came, or political asylum, political immigrant came from Germany. As a second group landed in New York, 1979. At that time, we had no guidance, no pathway. The roller coaster of my life began at that time. Imagine, I'm sure most of you in this room went through the same exact thing which I am talking about. And this is amazing. This is really, really amazing. The first day when Dr. John came and talked with me in regards to the book, I got so excited. I said, this is it. This is something which I see the youngsters and also the immigrants who has been here for years and years, still they don't know what to do, how to make living in this country